Welcome, welcome, welcome to Together We Grow. The purpose of this presentation is to give you a quick little orientation to our preschool this year. We have a few changes coming this year, so let's get started. So again, welcome. We're looking forward to another great year of learning and growing together. We have a great influx of families this year, so just looking forward to getting to know all of the kids and growing together. All right, so we're at full capacity. This increase in enrollment is really great news, but with such a rise in enrollment, we're definitely going to need to run a tighter ship this year. So as we go through the presentation, you'll notice a few changes. Those are all in place to help us to navigate through this year a lot smoother, so that we have some of the day-to-day policies highlighted. Although a lot of this is in the parent handbook, some of the information in this presentation is a little more detailed. All right, so we also have some exciting news to share. This year we're looking to add at least one other staff member. With all the growth, we're going to need an extra set of hands. So if you know someone who's qualified to work with young children and they have the experience of working in a learning setting, please let me know. I'm conducting interviews now. We have some outdoor construction plans to fence in the yard and hoping to also be able to get a pathway from the front of the house to the basement so that you can have direct access from the front of the house. And then when it comes to weekends, we're looking at once a month giving you an opportunity to have a parent night out. So whether it's a special event or function or just your desire to go out and have a good time for a few hours, you can drop your children off, and this is open to yourself or other families that you may know at an additional cost. Whole area easier. Now, our curriculum, just want to go over that a little bit. Our curriculum is very eclectic, and what that means is that we don't have a set curriculum that we use. I've been teaching for a lot of years, so I don't have to necessarily follow a curriculum out of the box. We do use as a resource Bob Jones, which is a Christian-based curriculum. We use Mother Goose, and we use some Spectrum workbooks and a ton of other resources that we find online. The most important thing you need to know is that when it comes to teaching, especially this age, there's not a one-size-fits-all. So we want to make sure that we develop activities that are inspired by the children's interest as well as where they are right now and what's going on in the world around them. Our philosophy of education is informed by Scripture. One of my favorite scriptures as it relates to preschool comes from Luke 2:52, and it basically states that Jesus grew up in the church. There wasn't a formal education system like what we have now, and the church was responsible for a lot, including education. And it was in that place that Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature and with favor with God and with men. So this next slide is going to address some details about just how that transfers over into the preschool world. So there's 4 key areas in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man. Starting in wisdom, that's your cognitive domain. So this is all of the just basic school skills that kids need as they prepare to go off in kindergarten. So we're definitely giving them early math skills and early language art skills. We want them to be able to not only just know numbers, but understand the value of numbers and the continuum that they represent. We go over basic concepts like shapes and colors, but we also like to tie this into science and technology, engineering, and math. And a lot of times that's in our craft projects and some of the hands-on activities that we do. Language development is extremely important, so speech articulation is something that we really like to focus on. We do that through songs and through music and through poems and through stories. But we also want to make sure that the children know and they understand letters and phonics, because this helps them with their reading and writing skills as they prepare for school. We also introduced them to some simple Spanish concepts, so being able to understand that people come from all sorts of places around the world, and within that there's different languages that are represented. So something as simple as teaching them a few words in Spanish helps them to grasp that concept. It also strengthens their knowledge and their understanding of their own language. Physical growth is definitely important. There's fine and gross motor skills that we'll be working on. The gross motor having to do with the large muscles, so jumping, running, throwing, climbing, catching, anything that involves the large muscles in the body, as well as dancing. On the fine motor skills, those are the finger skills that they're going to need as they prepare to write. So simple things like stringing beads and painting and writing and tracing and the different crafts and projects that we do are going to be able to fine-tune those fine motor skills. Social emotional development is huge, and probably for you parents, that's probably one of the number one goals you have at this time, is teaching them how to manage, their emotions. We always say, little kids have really big emotions, so what do we do with that? And so we try to teach them how to share, how to help, and how to solve those problems, and how to manage those emotional storms, because they're going to happen. Spiritually, that's the foundation for everything. We want the children to know their Creator, God, that He's their Father, that He loves them, and out of that love they can have love for others. Out of that love they can walk in the fruits of the Spirit. They can forgive others, and they can honor their parents and other adults in their lives. So we acknowledge that each child is going to develop differently, and how they understand this, of course, at 2 is going to be a whole lot different than how they're going to understand it at 5. But our goal is to compose and draft activities that will basically reach each child where they're at. So they have a fun experience, but they also are challenged. So this year, we will go ahead and collect registration fees again. We collected them last year at the beginning of the school year, so they're now due. You have until September 30th to pay those fees, and they are $150 for preschool and $100 for school agers. Those funds are used, they go directly back into the school so that the children have new materials, new games, furnishings, equipments, and things that need to be repaired that get broken. So for returning families, you'll also may need to renew your contract if your hours have changed, if your needs have changed. On a case-by-case basis, you will have received an email basically explaining that these are the hours that you utilized last year. Will your hours be changing? And you'll get a breakdown of what the rate is based on those changes. If there are no changes, you may not need to renew. So just come to me on a case-by-case basis, and we'll figure out how to go from there. School age care, as I mentioned, we do have a large group of school agers this year going to Henderson. It looks like the bus normally picks up about 8:30, and anytime after 3:30 it drops off. I'm not completely clear on the bus schedule, as they normally come out a week before school starts. So once that comes out, I'll let you know. So the rates are determined based on your pickup and drop-off times. So they might lower slightly if your hours of care are shorter. Feel free to talk to me about your individual needs. There's also days when Prince William County is going to close for teacher work days, as well as your general holidays, Christmas break, spring break. So I am available on a first come, first serve basis. So you'll need to make sure that you communicate that to me well in advance, and we'll go ahead and establish a rate based on what it is that you need. But in general, it's $40 a day for a full day. Now, when the weather is bad and it is causing the government and Prince William County to shut down, you can be prepared that I'm more than likely going to shut down, and that's just for safety. There have been times when I've opened in the past and regretted it because parents got stuck on the roads. So, in the best interests of all parties, if the federal government and Prince William County are both closing because of weather or some other emergency, you can almost, guarantee that I'm going to be closed. However, what I do is if I've been, warned that there's a storm coming, a snowstorm, or what have you, what I will do is let you know no later than 5 a.m. and I'll send out a message via Class Dojo as well as follow up with an email. So you just, kind of stand by for that notice. You don't need to text me like at 3 in the morning or at midnight to find out what I'm doing because I won't know until there's been something communicated through the news. So that's pretty much how that works. If it's just Prince William County that's closing and the federal government is opening, because maybe it's just going to be a dusting of snow, but the county runs a more stricter schedule because of the fact that their bus is picking up kids and they want to be safe. So oftentimes that will happen where the schools will be closed and the government will be open. And if I think it's safe enough, I will open. Again, I will post it by 5 in the morning so you don't have to text me and ask. I will let you know. And I'm only saying that because sometimes I get texts like around the clock, like they start at 9 and then 11 and then midnight and then 3 and I can't get any rest. So just wait for the notification to come out to you no later than 5 a.m. All right. Tuition payments. I'm excited to announce that there's a new preferred form of payment. It's not required for you to use this, but it really does help. If you want to go on to your bank's mobile app, you can register for Zelle if they are a participating member. This app will make payments directly from your account of choice directly into my account, and it just kind of makes it a little smoother and it's paperless. You don't have to worry about if you forgot a check, inquiring a late fee. So if you still want to write a check, that's completely fine, but I just want to let you know that this is available to you, as well as some of you have been using the online bank-to-bank transfers, and that's still okay as well. Just remember that you have to make the payment by Friday. I've been really lenient with this in the past, but because I'm looking at bringing on 2 staff members and we have such a large group, then, if you don't pay by Friday, it definitely will give you a notice that you'll have to pay that $20 late fee the following week. A couple more tools to tighten up the ship. Parking. Please don't park in the driveway or block along the driveway. Just park in the sidewalk. This is going to keep the flow of traffic moving, especially with the buses. There's been a few times where someone has pulled up in my driveway, like either partially or just alongside of it, and it stops the flow of the bus. Or, Mr. Smith, my husband, is coming home and he can't get in the driveway because someone's blocked the entire driveway. So please park along the sidewalks. When you drop off, it's going to be very important to stick to your contracted time because I'm scheduling staff and making myself available based on the times that you tell me you're going to drop off. So please don't just show up extra early without arranging that with me in advance, because if there's not space, there's a chance your child won't be accepted and you'll have to wait. If you are in need of changing your time, you'll have to let me know now because I pretty much have contracted everyone based on the time slots that I know that they needed. So if there is any change, now is the time to let me know so that we can work those details out and make sure that we are staying and adhering to our ratios. And when you're dropping off, try to make it brief. I know sometimes the kids can be a little clingy and it can be hard, but if you just want to give them a kiss, tell them you love them and you'll be back, and then hand them off to one of us, it'll just make that transition smoother, because sometimes little incidents happen because we're at the door with that whole transition, trying to get a child separated from a parent. We definitely, understand if you need a few minutes. Sometimes kids just have rough days, but if you create kind of that culture of, we're at school, take off shoes, give a hug, give a kiss, sign in, and leave, then it kind of helps them to adjust to that. Um, Another thing about drop-offs is if you're coming later than you normally would, it really helps if you let us know. Don't just show up at like 10 o'clock, because it's just really hard when you have a large group of kids. Like, having that consistency, or at least the communication to know that something's changing, makes a big difference in how our day flows. When you have young kids, it's the little foxes that just ruin the day. So if you give us that communication, if you're not going to be here, let us know by 8:30. If you're running late, let us know so that we can be prepared, and know how to adjust from there. Breakfast this year is moved up a little bit because of the school agers. We want to give them time to eat. So 7:50 is when we'll start serving breakfast, and then we absolutely have to close down the kitchen at 8:15. This summer I was really loose with that because I didn't have any kids getting off to the bus, and it was kind of a just more of a casual time during the summer. This year is a whole lot different. So with us having a group that we've got to make sure is ready for that bus to come, we cannot serve breakfast if you arrive late. So if you're not here at 8:15, just be prepared. You can tell within your time of driving if you're going to make it here. Even if it's 8:17, I'm not going to be able to give breakfast, because we need to take that time to transition the preschoolers into the basement and prepare to get the school agers on the bus. So, just try to make that extra effort if you need breakfast to get here, earlier than 8:15. And then don't bring any food in. Even if you say, well, I stopped and I got them food, you're going to have to finish that in the car, because then it just creates the same issue as if you were late for breakfast, where that's more stuff for us to manage rather than being able to transition on to our schedule, the next thing in our schedule. So please don't bring food, candy, snacks, toys. With a large group like this, it just becomes inventory. Sippy cups, tablets, watches, necklaces, bracelets, all that stuff, it just ends up being a distraction and then a fight. So just keep it simple. If you want to bring a special snack, however, to share with the class during story time, feel free to bring that. Just make sure that it is nut-free and it's not a food that's going to cause a choking hazard. We have 12 kids, so just make sure you have enough for the whole class. And then, of course, late fees are going to apply if you pick up after the contracted time. There's more details about how the late fees work in the parent handbook. All right, dress code seems like a small thing, but it is important. First of all, just let them be casual and comfortable. Learning is messy, especially in preschool. So if you don't want certain clothing to be stained, if you're really particular about that, just don't bring it, because chances are that it's going to get messy. Yes, we have aprons, but it's not a perfect world. It's preschool, so things just happen. Same thing with shoes. Make sure that they are closed-toed shoes, that they're easy to slip on and off. It's great if they're just regular outdoor shoes that they can run and jump and climb in, because that's going to keep them safe. Again, I can't stress enough the slipping on and off easily. When we have fire drills, sometimes we're having to just like snag kids and carry them out the door because we can't get their shoes on. So if it's not something easy to slip on, just go to Target, Payless, and find an easy slip-on and off $10 shoe that they can wear every day to preschool, so that they can be safe and have fun. And then as it relates to bottoms, meaning their pants, their shorts, etc., please no denim, especially for the little ones that are learning how to toilet train. It is hard to change diapers and pull-ups or get them on the toilet with denim. It's just not unless it's the soft fabric that has like the elastic waist that's easy to pull up and down, I just ask you not to bring it. And then make sure that whatever they're wearing on the bottom is easy to pull up and down. So that means no overalls, no jumpers, no onesies. Those are just not, gonna make it easy for us to get them to the toilet. So we want them to be independent enough to where they're learning how to pull their pants up and down. And if it's hard for us, obviously it's going to be hard for them. And then it just creates more opportunity for a mess on the floor. Illnesses, we know the kids get sick. We know you can't keep them home every time they have a sniffle, but if you know that your child is ill and they're just not going to be well enough to participate, even if they don't have a fever, they're not vomiting and diarrhea, but you can just tell they're just having a rough time, please keep them at home. This is going to help them to heal faster, and it's also going to prevent the rest of us from getting sick. Behavior concerns, I can't say it enough, it's preschool. They are still learning how to, just get through a day. So we do our best to communicate with you whenever there is an issue with your child's performance and behavior. We also communicate the good things too, but we may not tell you every detail of their day. Our approach is grace, which means that we're going to guide them. That's the first step. You can't expect them to meet a certain expectation if it hasn't been taught. So we're going to guide them, knowing that they're not going to get it right the first, second, third, or even fourth time. They're going to have bad days. So that's going to require restoration. We're going to restore them, put them back on the right path, show them the thing that they should do. And we're going to affirm their person, let them know, you're such a great kid. You're a good helper, whatever it is that's applicable to the situation. Yeah, correction's going to need to come in the form of maybe consequence or missing out on an activity or having a timeout in the timeout space. But the most important thing we're going to do is encourage them so that they can do the right thing. So if something happens and your child comes home and says, one of my friends hit me or took a toy or is mean to me, the first thing is talk to them about, how it made them feel. Okay, well, let's forgive them and let's ask God to forgive them and to help them. And then we move on, we learn from it. If it's something you need to discuss with one of us, feel free to send us an email, or if it's something that you can simply, mention at the door, that's not going to take up a lot of time, you can do that too. And we can discuss it outside of the child being present just to minimize, the issue and be able to deal with it objectively. Again, the biggest thing is teaching the kids how to operate in grace and how to forgive, because we're all going to mess up and need grace and need to be forgiven at some point. All right, so communication is important. I hope that this presentation gave you just some general ideas of what to expect from us as we prepare for a new school year. You can always send an email or a dojo message out if you just have some general questions. Depending on our day, we'll try to get back to you by the end of the day, if not the next business day. Please be respectful of the business hours. Running a business from home it is a blessing, but it's also, something where we have to make sure that we have practical boundaries in order to keep our home happy and running smoothly. So I make every attempt to do the same thing by not contacting you outside of business hours unless it's extremely important. So you all have my cell phone numbers, but I just ask for you to limit communication to business hours, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Unless it really is a true emergency, I'm here, but it would be great if you just allow me to get back to you the next business day. Thank you so much for allowing us to partner with you as it relates to raising your child and preparing them for all it is that God has for them in their future. We're so excited about all the new families that are joining us and the ones that are coming back, and we just look forward to having a great year. Thank you.